Let's turn now to the election. At this very moment in Montreal, the leaders of the main parties just faced off in the first of 3 debates. This one was in French. And our chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton, has been following it all along. So, Rosie, this is our first look at them together in this campaign. What was the tone like?
Yeah, it's fascinating to see them for the first time, these 4 in a debate, the very first time Erin O'Toole has done an election debate at all. The race in Quebec, remember, is mostly between the Liberals and the Bloc Québécois, so perhaps those are the 2 leaders who had the most to gain or lose here. But the NDP and Conservative leaders held their own, even with language challenges and the need to sort of introduce themselves to Quebecers. There were not surprisingly lots of exchanges particular to Quebec: identity, language, respecting jurisdiction. And M. Blanchette, the Bloc Québécois leader, he really needs to make the case to Quebecers that the Bloc is still relevant, and he's sort of campaigning for a minority government, which would give him more power. So he went after Erin O'Toole. Erin O'Toole has said he would cancel the daycare plans that Mr. Trudeau put in place, including $6 billion for Quebec. So he hammered away at Mr. O'Toole to get him to say, would he still hand over the money? Mr. O'Toole did not commit to that, but only to coordinate with the French premier, with the Quebec premier rather, and he didn't explain much further.
Okay, so people watch these debates for all sorts of reasons, in part sometimes to see the sparks fly. So what's your sense of the best exchanges?
Yeah, there were some sparks that flew, and that can sometimes just bring momentum to a leader during an election campaign. This is sometimes the first time people have watched them. You really saw Justin Trudeau on the offensive. Erin O'Toole remained very much calm throughout, and Justin Trudeau really had to defend his decision to call this election in the first place. He obviously knows that the polls are tight right now. They're quite tight, and so he needed to be perhaps a little more aggressive. Here's an exchange between him, a spicy one, between him and Erin O'Toole over healthcare, and whether Erin O'Toole indeed supports the idea of a role for private care. It's in French, but you'll get a sense of the tone.
Oui ou non, Monsieur O'Toole? Les riches ont plus de choix?
Monsieur Trudeau, Twitter a dit que vous avez manipulé une vidéo. Les Canadiens, les Québécois méritent mieux que ça.
So that gives us a sense, really, of the kind of chemistry we're going to see over the next 2 debates. We'll see whether it changes anything, but it gives us a sense, at least, at how they're interacting and where they think they might be in relation to one another in the polls.
All right, Rosie, thanks very much.
Thanks.